And they're off. PTCI Channel 2 welcomes you to our coverage of Guymon High School sports. Today we are on the Guymon High School campus for the 14th annual Rattlesnake Run. Junior high teams have already run, and the high school girls beginning their competition. 14 different schools from the Oklahoma Panhandle and Texas Panhandle competing. We've got runners from Balco, Beaver, Boise City, Buffalo, Derazette, Texas, Goodwell, Guymon, Hooker, Perryton, Tyrone, Woodward, Yarborough competing today. The girls are on a 2 mile. The boys who will run later will run a 5K. Of course, this event does feature area programs, of course, starting with the host program. Their boys program, 3-time defending state champions. Hooker, 6 total state cross country over the last, adding in 3 track championships. Stan Catchell, who retired last year. Boise City girls, also a program, the Class A level. If you know the Guymon area, the high school area, we've got running in the area of the high school where the softball, baseball fields are, and also the pond that is to the south side of that. Crowd gathered all around the racing area. And now joining us is Guymon High School cross-country coach, Andy Brown. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for being out here at PTCI, supporting Guymon cross country. I think this is the first time you guys have had a chance to come out and record the races.
Well, cross-country course is a very different event than when you're at a stationary place on a football or basketball field or baseball field. They're all right there. And of course, just the very nature of cross country, you're going to run across country. Tell us a little bit about the Rattlesnake Run. Started 14 years ago, correctly? Yeah. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about the history on that and what made you guys decide to start running that.
When I first started took over the program for Coach O'Sullivan, the Rattlesnake Run used to be out at Scott Dahl's ranch, and it was out there in the country, and I'm guessing that's where it got the name, the Rattlesnake Run, because it was kind of out there in the middle of nowhere on some prairie land. And we had the meet out there one year, and I had moved it after that to right behind Guymon High School to a little more convenient location. It was kind of hard for all the visiting schools to find that exact location out there, so there were schools getting lost, and it was inconvenient because you couldn't really set up a concession stand. There was no electricity, just stuff like that. So, but every year after that, we've had it at Guymon High School, and over the past couple of years, the course has changed a little bit, just because easier footing in certain areas. The last thing you want a kid to do is to sprain an ankle because of the ground is very rough in places.
Well, you do have some pretty good terrain here. You've got some good hilly area, and of course that's what you want with cross country, is you're just not just running on a flat piece of ground. this is different than a lot of those races. You run them on country club, golf courses and things like that. Talk about this course. What are some unique parts to it that make there maybe where a runner may struggle and got to push through?
I think the reason a lot of schools like coming to this meet is, for one, it's in the evening. It's midweek. It fits right into probably their hill training segments of their season. Our course, our girls course, our 2 mile course for the junior high boys and girls and high school girls it's not as difficult as it used to be. It's a little faster this year. They do have one uphill there at the very beginning. They'll make a loop around and then they'll do that same hill coming back around. And they have a little hill there towards the end between the windmill and the softball clubhouse right there. And you can see Zoe Weaver there leading the pack from Beaver. She's definitely one of the fastest girls in Class 2A for Beaver. But we set up the course there to make it very challenging. I think a lot of schools really want to come for the hills. So.
Well, and mentioned that you've got 14 teams here. Is that usually what you have, or is that a good number? Or what?
Yeah, that's a great number to have. That's probably about average for us. A lot of schools have a lot of options when it comes to cross-country meets within a 2-hour radius, so we're very thankful that a lot of these schools want to come to Guymon's meet. And there for several years ago, we had Boys Ranch boys coming up. Obviously, Hooker was still in their state title runs and still are, and we weren't too far behind there. So and Boys Ranch was winning state in Texas. So a very, very competitive meet close to home. So you always want to find a meet that you can run well at, and I think this course and the entry, all the kids that enter allow you to be able to have a really fast race.
Well, that was something I mentioned just before you came in. It's not hard in the track season or in the cross-country season to really challenge yourself out here. Of course, Guymon is in the unique situation that they're typically running against smaller schools if they're out here, maybe not going up against the 5A competition that may be different when you go downstate. But like you mentioned, Hooker, Stan Catchell, I mentioned earlier that just a legend really in long-distance running, 6 state championships in a 10-year span there from 2007 to 2017 when he retired. But also Boise City, especially on the girls' side, has had some great teams and things. But it's you always want to be able to test yourself and test your mettle and see how you do against those schools. So good to have. Look, there went Zoe, our leader, again. We're still learning the angles and everything at a meet. Got 4 cameras out there, but we'll definitely be there at the finish line. There goes Zoe right there. She's a great all-around athlete, great basketball player as well. So, what do you hope? You got 91 kids here registered to be in this race. That's a lot of kids. That's how you build a successful program. How do you run practice with 91 kids?
Our kids do a good job of being coachable and listening to what we're asking them to do, because every day is a little bit different, and we have different goals every day, expectations that we're trying to complete in practices. And we have kids all over the spectrum. Kids that are just starting out and kids that have been in the program for 6 years. So those older kids are doing a pretty good job of leading the way for the younger ones and letting them know how things are done, how hard work is completed at practice, and keeping our expectations high. And I'm telling you, hard work, our kids are some of the hardest working kids I've been around. They work really hard at practice. They're coachable. They listen to what we're trying to do, and they understand that cross country season is, although it seems short, 13 weeks, it's really almost like a marathon. You gotta take your time a little bit and understand that there's certain times during the season when you want to run all out, and there's certain times where you just want to go get a good fast run in. So, and our kids do a good job of understanding those expectations and relaying that to practice. There's a couple of our girls going by there. That's good to see them up there. Hooker's got quite a few up front. Hooker girls are right now number 2 in Class 2A, right behind Watonga. I think there's a couple of other teams. Regent Prep is right behind them. So really good competition among those top 4 teams. In our class, on the girls' side, it's always stiff competition. Sometimes there's some dominant teams that have been up at the top, like Bishop McGuinness or Claremore. Elgin has, I think, a little bit weaker group this year than normal, but we really don't look too much into rankings or anything. We kind of just try to stay in our little bubble and really focus on things we can control, and that's our effort and our attitudes at practice and how coachable we're going to be and things like that. So I think if our girls stay on track, we're definitely going to be able to go to regionals and run some good times.
Well, when you mentioned some of that, when it comes to your girls team and you're looking at this meet today, what are some of the goals that you want coming out of this? I mean, probably want to win the thing, but what are some other goals as a part of this?
Yeah, one thing about hosting a meet is your kids really run well at home, so that's always a plus. Our girls have traditionally ran against the teams at Hooker that usually come here, and at the beginning of the season, we don't really fare very well, and then usually about this time our girls start picking up the pace a little bit and starting to run well. And obviously goals for today is to go out and obviously not get an injury. We can't really afford an injury at this point late in the season. Hopefully everybody comes out of this race feeling good about the time they ran, feeling confident, and knowing that they can run a little bit better. I probably expect our girls here to at least finish in the top 3 today. I wouldn't be surprised if they were second place to Hooker's girls today. Judging by the finish that's coming up here, Zoe there's fixing to finish, probably running a really great time. I'm not really sure what time they have on that, but we're just trying to find 7 girls right now on our varsity team that can really hook it up out there on the court or the course. So hopefully today we can kind of start seeing some separation between our top 5 girls or our top 10 girls really, and seeing what kind of efforts we can get later on. We go to Spearman this Saturday. So
how many more events do you have before you do go to a regional?
We have Spearman, which we're going to get to run 3 miles today. Obviously, just a 2 mile. I think that's a Glover girl there from Goodwell. That was second there. She's a really good runner as well.
Shayna, I believe. Might have been. I know there's a couple different ones. So that might be wrong
we have Spearman left, and then October the 6th, we're going to go to Lakin, which is a 5K for our girls. So the last 2 meets we'll finish with a 3 mile and a 5K, and go right into regionals. Have a week off there and hit regionals at fall break on that Saturday. So.
That was a Carissa Glover.
Carissa.
Shane, I believe, graduated last year. So
there's that Hooker pack coming in.
A couple of them in a row there.
Yeah,
I got
3.
a third. Yeah.
That's good for the points right there. That's going to get you some low sticks, and there's another one right there. All they need is one more in there, and
that's Coach Stalder's.
They've
one
got
of his
that.
Daughters.
They've got that sealed there.
Wow.
And there they are.
That's going to help in the team points, definitely, right there.
Yeah, that's very good.
Second Perryton runner, and that's a Buffalo Bison girl there.
Yeah, Buffalo's brought several kids over. They've Coach Buckholz is doing a great job over there at Buffalo, getting kids out and getting some excitement around the program. There's our number 1 runner for Guymon, Rosio De La Garza.
There's a third.
2 years ago, Rosio was 6th at the state meet in 5A.
Okay. Well, Coach, what else? When you're to be a great cross-country runner, I mean, there's some things that cross over into every sport, but obviously this is an endurance sport where you have to kind of push through the pain. What are the things that you're trying to build in your girls with their mentality to help make them champions?
I think the first thing is just having a positive mindset. Thinking you can do it. Negativity is one of the things that'll kill you anytime you have a bad mindset, a negative mindset. That's going to hurt you. So, the first thing we try to focus on is you can do this. Have a positive mindset and really working with your teammates in practice to get better, because it's really tough to go out by yourself and do a speed workout in practice with no one pushing you. So you got to have your teammates helping you out along the way. And there's Emery Johnson crossing the line there. So you've really got to have your teammates helping you out and really working together. Everybody has a few different goals that they want to accomplish throughout the season, but all those goals can ultimately lead to a really good team goal of everybody running well at the right time. But I think the biggest thing for us is just mindset, approaching it with a really positive mindset.
Well, and you talked about the hill at the beginning of this, but also that just before this finish line, they're coming up on the other side of the baseball field. I imagine after you've just ran 2 miles, that's probably that's a hill that you've got to push through a little bit as well.
That's going to be rough for you right there at the end. You're already tired, your body's burning, and then you got to go up that hill, and it's tough. And I kind of designed it that way. I wanted a challenge at the very end that you really had to push through to. And we medaled top 20 here in the varsity, and our JV's medaling top 10 today. So.
Well, and what you talked about with building that mentality, that's one of those things here that you want that to have that big hill at one of your last races before you go to regionals and everything. I'm sure that's one of those things that you really stress with your team when you hit that last hill. You get it in your mindset to push through. And that you're going to get to that finish line as fast as possible at that point. So.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily for us, we really don't have hills at regionals or hills at state. So I mean, hill work for leg strength is really good, but at the other on the other end of the spectrum, we run really flat, fast courses. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't hurt us too much by running hills, but we don't really try to find courses with hills. Yeah. It just happens, but. It's good to race those during the season.
Well, like you said, that it's one of those things where you punish your body a little bit on something like that. I think of a few years back when the Guymon high school golf team won a state title. They went to state and they had terrible weather there, and it was those guys. That was normal. That was a normal weather day for them, and where everybody else had to adjust to that. When you're used to that, it helps you out. So if you've trained harder on the hills. Even if you go to the flat course, then that's a much easier day. As many of our coaches growing up, I want practices to be hard, so the game days are the easiest day of the week you have. So
yes, yep.
Still runners finishing up here.
Well, Jason, I'm gonna run down by the finish line real quick and make sure everything's going good there, and then I'll drop back by for the boys race.
Well, thank you, Coach.
I'll be
look
back
forward
by.
to hearing more from you on the boys. We'll keep the shot here as other runners finish off our high school girls run here at the Rattlesnake Run in Guymon, Oklahoma. Boys are off as a part of the high school 2-mile or 5K run for the high school boys here at the Guymon Rattlesnake Run 2018 version. As you mentioned earlier with the girls race, 14 different schools a part of this run. Junior high and high school together, almost 500 runners here at Guymon. Runners start out near there on the northwest corner the baseball field here at Guymon High School. They'll pass football fields, tennis, over near the library. Guymon with the six right now. We mentioned before a dominant program. Time state champion Bay, looking for a four-peat. Got some that are looking well. State champions under head coach Andy Brown. Brown joining us here in a while. We've got kids on the boys' side from Beaver, Boise City, Buffalo, Texas, Goodwell, of course Guymon. As we mentioned, boys and girls, a total of 91 athletes running in this event. And you've got Hooker, Laverne, Perryton, Texas, Turpin has 3 male runners. Also Tyrone with a pair, Woodward, and also a single boy runner from Yarborough as well. Runners down the hill. As I mentioned, the girls course, the boys run a 5K, which is just slightly over 3 miles. Coach Andy Brown mentioned his team will head to Spearman, Texas over the weekend, and the girls will then be running a 3-mile. And we are now joined by head cross-country coach Andy Brown again as the boys' race has started. Coach, looked like your guys were doing pretty good. You had 1 through 6 taken care of.
Yeah, that's kind of our mentality today, is go out and get in the front pack and get a good race today. So hopefully those boys push each other and don't kind of just relax up there. And I mean, relaxing's okay, but I feel like today, we're at home. We need to run well for the crowd for sure and for ourselves. So.
Well, and what you're talking about is not in an arrogant way, but just in a determined way to come out and dominate.
Yeah, I mean, the field for our meet this year, there's a lot of kids in it. There's just not a lot of kids that are sub 17 to mid 17 range. There's a lot of 18 ups, and I think most of our kids right now, I feel like we're probably a 17:30 or faster. Hopefully today. So hopefully we can go out and really run well and just push ourselves up front.
Right.
And hopefully there's some other guys from some other teams that'll get up there. I know Perryton, if they brought him today, has a boy who won their meet, and he's a freshman. He's a very talented runner, so he's definitely going to be up there, hopefully working hard with that lead pack and getting some good times. So there's some Guymon runners now. You've got Nat Neal, Weldon Michael, Isaac Olivas, Hinock, Gabriel Christos. You've got Brett Fields. You've got Uzziah, Urquiza, Enrique Alvidrez, Noel Nunez. Some of those guys definitely in the top 15 right there. So that's what you want to see early, but I'd like to see it late too, because it's always easy to lead at the beginning. I tell the kids all the time, there's nobody at the mile marker handing out medals, guys.
That's right.
They're waiting at the finish line. So, I like to see us up there early, but I really like to see us at the halfway point, really pushing and moving up in the race.
Well, and I recognize a few of those names, like Urquiza's, some kids that are at least 2 sport athletes, also very good soccer players. So
yeah.
This is a sport that goes hand in hand with that, because that's a sport where you're running several miles over the course of a game as well. So
it does. Uzziah is a 3-time state champion cross-country runner. He was All-State runner 2 years ago, All-State honorable mention last year. Noel Nunez, same thing, 3-time state champion. He was on that team last year that won it, and the 2 years before. So they definitely have some depth and experience among those guys who've been there, done that. kind of know the approach that you need to take in races like this to go out and get a good effort.
What are we talked about the girls' 2-mile course and everything. You've got the 5K, which is just a little over 3.
Mm-hmm.
You're going over there by the library, kind of leaving the campus a little bit there. Tell us what are some of the added challenges of this course that aren't a part of the 2-mile?
We're running on the YMCA cross part, so we're going to cross Tiger Boulevard there just for a split second, and then we're going to be on the YMCA course, and it's a really stretched out big loop that kind of curves back and connects at the very end, and then
it's up and down as well, so there's some more hills if you're running on that.
It's probably the most challenging 5K course we have to date. Lots of up and downs, a little bit of rough terrain in there. You definitely have to be conscious of your pace. Definitely you got to really be thinking about foot turnover and moving up, and because there's times where you can run real fast downhill, but you got to kind of keep your pace and find that pace when you level back out. So there's a good stretch there. What you're looking at right there is the lead pack. You got 2 Guymon runners there. Looking like Uzziah Urquiza, and it looks like the camera's all over the place there.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a good one.
As we mentioned, our first cross-country meet we're covering, so we're still figuring out how we can get these, and it's amazing that we can get shots that far away anyway.
There's 5 Guymon in the top 6, and 6 in the top 7 there, and then 2 Perryton coming up. So that's not a bad pack right there at the front.
Well, we talked a little bit about your Guymon, some of our other local kids around here. You mentioned from Perryton, a freshman runner that won their meet. Tell us about some of the other, maybe some of the area teams at the lower classification that maybe are quality runners that are going to do well.
Yeah.
Maybe they aren't competing with your guys at the 5A level, but they're still going to compete state-wise at their classification.
Hooker is over here, and every year Hooker's in the top 3. Their boys are right now ranked number 2, right behind Moreland, and I'm sure they're running all their guys today in this race. And so, number 2 in Class 2A coming to town and racing well. I know Buffalo has a team, and they're coming over, and I haven't seen very many results on Buffalo. There's Derazette, Texas is coming, and Perryton, Texas. I haven't seen. We just raced Perryton at their home meet, and I can't remember how they placed as a team. But so definitely within those 3 or 4 teams right there, you're going to have some competitive runners.
Well, they've kind of moved, I guess, off of our map right now as we'll have to wait till they get a little closer before we're able to get those guys back in the shot. We talked about on the girls' side who your competition is when you get to a regional or a state meet. On the boys' side, who's going to be your competition when it comes to hitting that medal stand for the 4th straight year, trying to get up there on top?
I feel like right now it's just one team that stands in our way of a 4-peat, and that's the Piedmont Wildcats. They've got everybody back. I think they graduated their number 5 runner from last year, and they gained a talented freshman, and they have some younger JV guys that were running JV last year that are running really good times. I think we match up well with them, and it's really, last year we beat them by 5 points. So it's going to be another very, very close race, and you just, that's the great thing about state championship games and matches and races is you have one chance to do it well on one day. And if you don't, you're not going to win. And that's what makes them so special is we're going to have a flawless race and really execute our game plan and really just match their runners up front. I feel like our top 7 runners are better than theirs. It's just whether or not we go out and do it. As you can see right there, we have 4 runners right there, Perryton, and then Guymon moving up close behind. That's Hinnock Gabriel Christos there in 6th. And leading, it's Nathaniel Weldemichael, Uzziah in 2nd, Akba 3rd, and there's Mulu, Gabriel Salus, Perryton. I'm assuming that's a talented freshman there. There's Henoch Gabriel Christos. He's a junior for us. He ran 18 flat last year at the state meet, so he's definitely big improvement.
He's a soccer player too, I believe.
He
I think
is, yes.
I remember having to try to pronounce that name correctly.
Next pack coming up, Isaac Olivas there, Brett Fields, and Noel Nunez. Enrique Alvidrez is also in there as well.
So they run back across, and then they're having to head back across that
Yeah, they'll go straight up there to that hill, and they'll make a right turn right there and come right straight down and start heading back toward this way. So I'm actually going to have to go out there and make sure they're going the right way. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thank you, Andy, and good luck to you guys the rest of the season.
Thanks.
Runners continue on the course. As I mentioned, quite a few Guymon runners right up there at the top. Challenging not only for the win, but looking to try to dominate in this meet. And if you've ever seen cross-country scoring, unlike any other sport, you're not looking for the highest total, you're looking for the lowest total. Because first place is 1 point and second place is 2 points, and et cetera, but you're looking for those top 6 runners to finish as high as possible so that you have the lowest possible total actually wins the meet. As Coach mentioned also, and we've mentioned several times, Hooker quality program. Stan Catchell has been there, and then his son has taken over that program. Boys City girls have dominated as well. Several times at the state meet when it comes to cross country, and defending state champs from last year. And like Coach Brown mentioned, this course, as he said, the toughest 5K course they'll run all year, and you can see why. And these guys are running a lot of hills, whereas normally, you know, most of these courses they're going to run on a lot of golf courses and things like that, where they're going to have small hills, but they're not going to have near the hilly terrain that you have on this course. It's up and down hills over and over here, and these guys are going to feel it in those legs for sure when they come to the end of this 5K run. You can see runners continuing on the course, and you can also see off in the distance those who are further ahead, where, as Coach Brown had mentioned earlier, where they'll make a right turn and head back over towards the athletic complex along Sunset. And there's our lead runner, a Guymon runner. We are coming to the finish line. Several Guymon runners in the lead. our first runners coming across the finish line. Guymon in first and second place as well. Here comes third and fourth. Perryton runner takes fifth. Another Perryton runner coming across. Three more Guymon runners across as they have dominated the top 10. Guymon as well, crossing in the next two spots. There's our first Hooker runner to cross. Another Guymon runner. Hooker's second place runner. A runner from Woodward now. City has their first runner across. Hooker with their third. Perryton, Buffalo, Perryton, and Hooker. As Coach Brown mentioned, the top 20 runners will receive medals. This is pretty obvious with the first 20 coming in that it's Guymon well into their past their top 6 runners already. They've clearly dominated this and will win the team standings. As you mentioned, though, 3-time state champions. This senior class looking for a four-peat. Nice to see a good crowd on hand. Encourage these runners on to the finish line.